Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of great Steelers news and rumors to cover for you guys on today's program. First up here, no, it is not a clickbait. We will be talking about George Pickens and the potential that he ends up getting traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers to another football team this upcoming offseason. There's some reports that the Steelers are not going to be giving him an extension. I think we all know how volatile the personality of George Pickens can be. We'll talk about that possibility at the top of today's show. And then for as good as you think Russell Wilson has been this year, guys, I'm here to tell you guys he's been even better by the stats. We'll break down his stats in the middle of today's show. Then we'll finish up with some injury updates on guys like Corey Trice Jr. and Calvin Austin III. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of today's show. If you guys want some more Steelers content from me on X, you guys can find me at Jack_Sperry. I put out weekly Russell Wilson film analysis on there. Also put out instant reaction to all the Steelers news that comes out every single day. So if you want that additional and informative Steelers content from me on X, you guys can find me at Jack_Sperry. And then we actually just started a brand new Steelers Talk Instagram page for short form content outside of this YouTube channel. So if you guys want to get that short form content, that daily blast of Steelers news, you guys can go to @SteelersCS on IG. All right, so now let's talk about the George Pickens stuff here, because I find this extremely interesting, okay? Because multiple reports are suggesting now that the Steelers could be trading wide receiver George Pickens next offseason, specifically because they aren't planning on giving him an extension. I've had conversations with a lot of people that are close and have ties to people within the Steelers organization that have told me that the Steelers do not plan to give him an extension. Apparently, Jerry Dulac has heard the same thing. Now, I know what you're saying at home. Jack, it's Jerry Dulac. He's wrong all the time, and you'd be 100% correct about that. So if Jerry Dulac says that he's going to sign, he's not going to get an extension, he's going to be the highest paid receiver in football. But joking aside here, we all know that it's true, guys, that George Pickens is a volatile personality. And if there's anybody that is going to demand a new extension 1 year away before he's supposed to get paid, it's going to be George Pickens, because he has been this team's number one receiver here, not only this season, but arguably in years past as well. And it certainly seems like he's the type of guy where if the Steelers say, no, we're not going to give you that payday this offseason, you're going to have to play on your current contract or not play at all. He seems like the type of guy that would be like, fine, I'm not going to training camp. Fine, trade me somewhere else, I really hope it doesn't happen. I'm really hoping that George is somebody that's going to, come in next year. And if he gets an extension, great. But if he doesn't, I hope he's still in Latrobe. I hope that he's still in training camp. And, he is a phenomenal talent. I want him here in Pittsburgh. He has been phenomenal not only this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but since he was drafted. This catch was made in his rookie season. He's got size. He's got yak ability. He's got a route running ability that's very underrated, in my opinion. He's one of the best and most talented receivers in football. And if Mike Tomlin and the Steelers can make it work from him with a personality standpoint and a work ethic standpoint, I really hope he stays here in Pittsburgh. However, he is just an absolute wild card, not blocking for people at times, terrible effort running routes at times, the personality stuff. He gets into fights all the time. He's late to practice and meetings, according to multiple reports inside the Steelers building. Is it possible that Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, and the Steelers are just like, you know what, man? He's talented, but we've had enough. We're gonna move on from him next offseason. I don't think it's that crazy as much as I want George Pickens to work here in Pittsburgh. And the way that the Steelers could address this offseason is that you could trade Pickens, sign a legit number one receiver in free agency, and then draft a wide receiver early in the draft. That way you would have a legit veteran number one receiver. You would also have a young guy coming up that can be your future number one receiver. Plus you have both Calvin Austin III and hopefully Roman Wilson is available to you next year as well. So you can really bolster this Steelers wide receiver room. Even if you trade George Pickens next offseason. Not necessarily saying that's what I would want to do, but if they wanted to trade Pickens, they could absolutely bolster this wide receiver room again. Now, unfortunately, I think that GP honestly isn't going to be worth a ton on the open trade market. If Mike Tomlin can't rein him in and the Steelers are giving up on a talent like that, how much are other teams going to want to pay for a receiver like George Pickens and have to pay him a massive contract? That's going to be a major risk for whatever team ends up trading for him. So honestly, I think if the Steelers end up trading him, you're going to get at best a round 3 pick, maybe a round 4 pick. And, I know that's not what Steelers fans would want for him. They'd want a first or a second at least for George Pickens. But with the risks involved, the personality stuff, late to meetings and practices, all these different things, the fighting with players during games, that's going to be stuff that teams have concerns about. And if they're going to be paying him a big contract, they're probably not going to want to pay a first or second round pick. So when it comes to the free agent wide receivers that could be at the Steelers' disposal here, some good players that I think the Steelers could consider: T. Higgins. Now, Spotrac, all these numbers come from the market value from Spotrac, and I think that their evaluation of T. Higgins is way below what he's actually going to make. I think he's going to make way more than $18.8 million per year. I think it's going to be more closer to like $28 or $27 million per season, maybe even more than that over 5 years. So just keep that in mind. DeAndre Hopkins is getting older, so he might sign a 1-year contract, relatively team friendly. That's certainly one that you could consider. Amari Cooper is somebody that's had a down year this year, but he's still potentially would want to come to Pittsburgh and play Cleveland twice a year. His current contract is projected to be 2 years, $15 million per year. And then Stephon Diggs is slated to be a free agent as well after injuring his ACL with Houston this season. He's projected to make 2 years, $22 million per season, but after the ACL tear, that might end up going down. Then after you pick one of those receivers to sign in free agency, you could go out and get a top receiver potentially in the first round. This is all the first round wide receivers projected by the Pro Football Focus big board right now. You got McMillan out of Arizona. I really don't think the Steelers are going to be in position to take him, or Luther Burden out of Missouri. Now, Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State is a guy that I think the Steelers might just be in position to take. Isaiah Bond, as much as producer Coop loves Isaiah Bond, he's not a great fit for the Steelers, not a blocker, smaller guy. He's not really a downfield threat vertically down the sideline. So I don't think Bond is a great fit, but Alec Ayomanor, I probably just butchered that, man, but out of Stanford, he's certainly a bigger receiver that could work here in Pittsburgh. He's currently ranked 28th on the Pro Football Focus big board. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will George Pickens be a Steeler next year? For me personally, guys, I could certainly see a world where they trade him, but I think the more likely scenario is GP is back with the Steelers next year. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Yes or no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no. Now let's move on to Russell Wilson here, guys. And, you probably think that Russell Wilson has played pretty darn well for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. But what if I told you that by the numbers, this guy is one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the National Football League this year since he took over as the Steelers starting quarterback this year? Well, we'll be breaking down some numbers here in just a second that might shock you as to just how well Russell Wilson is playing as the QB1 of your Pittsburgh Steelers. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And let me ask you guys kind of a weird question here. How do you guys deodorize your balls in the shower or in the morning? Most people will just use soap in the shower, or even just put some cologne down there. I mean, that's got to burn. But after a few hours, that smell starts to fade and a less desirable smell starts to come up during the day. Lucky for you, our friends at Mando Whole Body Deodorant have come up with the perfect solution with their brand new spray deodorant. It won't irritate your sensitive bits because the first ingredient is water, not alcohol, and it's proven to control odor for 72 hours. It also has a 360-degree spray and works upside down, so it's perfect for getting this stuff anywhere on your body from any angle. Take advantage of Mando's special offer just for Steelers Talk listeners, which gives new customers $5 off their best-selling starter pack with code CHAT at shopmando.com. Guys, right now I'm holding what you guys can potentially get in your starter pack. It is the body wash, specifically bourbon leather. I got a big bottle of this at home because once we started partnering with Mando and they gave us the little samples, once I tried it, I never went back. It makes me smell fresh all day long. They also have cologne quality scents. My personal favorite is the bourbon leather. And let me tell you guys, once you try this body wash, you are not going to go back. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. You can pick the body wash, or their deodorant wipes are also highly recommended as well. Plus, you get free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market today. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. It's time to smell better naked with whole body deodorant today. So let's take a look here at some stats from Russell Wilson and how he is among the best in the National Football League among quarterbacks in most of these major kind of categories. He's right now first in yards per attempt at 8.7. That is the largest and the most of his career. Now, obviously, this is just a 6-game sample size, but Russell Wilson is more efficient now than he has ever been in his career in terms of a yards per attempt standpoint. He's also top 10 in touchdown percentage. He's top 6 in on-target percentage, so he's still one of the more accurate quarterbacks in football. Then the big time throw percentage. These are the amounts of throws into tight windows, really good high leverage throws down the field. He's 5th right now at 6.1% big time throws. And then the turnover worthy play percentage, it's as low as anybody in football at 1.3. That is excellent for somebody that has played his first 6 games so far this year. And then the passer rating is top 5. The EPA is pretty good. And guys, by the way, EPA, you might see 11th and say, that's not that good. But you got to remember, that's for the entire season. He missed the first 6 games of the year, and he's still ranking 11th in EPA. That is excellent right there. And all that, guys, all of that, while being pressured the most out of any starting quarterback in the National Football League right now. He's getting pressured on 42.9% of his throws, and he's putting up this kind of production. All right, so pretty much, guys, what these numbers tell you is that Russell Wilson appears to be officially back after kind of 2 tough seasons there in Denver. Never really found an offensive play caller that fit with his kind of system. This guy's absolutely balling out right now, and guys, he's doing it with one of the least talented wide receiver rooms in the National Football League. Obviously, George Pickens is great, but we talked about it all offseason. This team likely needs to add another receiver. Nuh-uh. Russell Wilson is using his running backs. He's using his tight ends. He's spreading it out to guys like Calvin Austin III, Michael Pruitt even last week, right? So he's doing it with so many different guys here, where Russell Wilson is just playing so freaking well. Despite the adversity of that pressure that he is facing. And I mean, plain simply, when you look at these numbers right now, there's no other way to put it. He is one of, if not the best quarterback in the National Football League as we sit here today. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. Russell Wilson is a top blank quarterback in the NFL right now. Let me know what you guys' answer is down there in the comments section. For me personally, I think he's definitely in that top 10 conversation. And honestly, you can make an argument for even higher than that. So now let's talk a little bit here about the latest Steelers injury updates here on Thursday as this team prepares to take on the Browns in Week 14. Some good news here. Corey Trice Jr. was officially activated off the IR. He's been dealing with that hamstring injury as of late, since very early in the season. This guy's barely played any NFL football in his first 2 seasons as a cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had that ACL tear last year. He dealt with a hamstring injury this year. He will be back for the Cleveland Browns game here in Week 14. Then Calvin Austin III was at practice to start the week here. He is a limited participant. Right now, he is in concussion protocol, but the fact that he's on the field and he is practicing is good news if you're hoping that Calvin Austin III is going to be on the field on Sunday. We'll keep you guys updated with his status as the week goes on. So before I go here, I do have some final items to discuss here on Steelers Talk before I let you go. First up, another Arthur Smith rumor here, where Arthur Smith is currently the second highest odds to be the next head coach of the New York Jets. And, just look at that. He kind of looks like a Jets coach, doesn't he there, Coop? We talked about him potentially going to the Bears, potentially going to the UNC Tar Heels. We've talked a lot about Art this week, including yesterday's video where we talked about the recent rumor about him going to the Chicago Bears. So I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show. Plus, in that video, I revealed my latest top 10 offensive coordinator candidates for the Steelers if Arthur Smith decides to leave. If you guys want to see my top 10 OC targets list, it's going to be in that video. Again, I'll put that link in the comments and description. Also, there's somebody that I talked about quite a bit 2 years ago in the draft process that the Steelers worked out today, and it is the Hawaiian Mountain himself, Siaki Ika. The nose tackle worked out for the Steelers today. Now, he did not sign with the Steelers, at least not at the time of me recording this video. He had a really tough go of it in Cleveland since he was drafted out of Baylor. But he is somebody that I was pretty excited about because there's a lot of man right there, man. So if you want to bring him in as kind of a stopgap run stuffer, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that if the Steelers wanted to bring him in for a practice squad spot. And then also the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year finalists have been announced. And this year, it's been Cam Hayward for quite a while here before he ended up winning last year, Coop. This year, it's Larry Ogunjobi, another Steelers defensive lineman, getting nominated for Man of the Year. So congratulations to Larry O, and we wish him the best of luck in the final voting and the final tally of this year's Man of the Year search. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We've made it to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk. Thank you to everybody that made it to the end of today's show. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.